Welcome everybody to the ACRL Virtual Worlds Interest Group monthly session, which takes place here at the Virtual Worlds Education Consortium. And today we're going to visit a CyberX Immersive Cybersecurity simulation. And I'm going to turn it over to our speakers in just a moment. I did want to tell you that since this is part of the American Library Association, you can find some information in the note card I gave you or in this link that I'm putting in the local chat. Every month we go on an expedition to a serious simulation in the metaverse to show how the potential for virtual worlds in the metaverse is expanding. So today we have a couple of experts in cybersecurity, Rand Hinrichs here and Nettie Martian, who is Erik Moore. They're going to take over the microphone and explain a little bit about what you're going to experience. Then we will stand up and we will teleport over to CyberX. If you're new to the VWEC, please landmark this space. All around us are flags to different events we have here, an info center which you can visit this coming Sunday at noon and learn about all kinds of new resources for education in virtual worlds. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to our speakers. Who would like to speak first? Rand, Nettie, take it away.
Start. Thank you, Val. It's a pleasure to be here and see you again. It's been a few, hasn't it? What we would like to show you today is a work that both Erik and I have been involved in for quite some time, over the years actually. The program is a National Center for Academic Excellence in Cybersecurity. It is a program that looks at teaching cybersecurity throughout the United States, and we have created a cooperative learning instantiation of that program where some of our students are studying online in Canvas or a regular learning management system, and some come into Second Life to look at cybersecurity from a completely different point of view. In this case, we're going to take you to a place to show you what that point of view is. What is it that we can teach in Second Life in cybersecurity that we can't do as well in an e-learning environment? Well, that would be physical security. That would be one example. Looking around a building and trying to figure out what secure technology is placed in that environment. So you can't do that well unless you're walking around in the 3D environment of Second Life or any of the other virtual world environments. Another thing is not really getting a view of what it's like to work in a facility like a secure operations center or a network operations center and actually being there. This is the closest thing to being there that you can imagine. Well, I partnered with Erik Moore, Medium Martian here, and was looking for anybody who'd done any work in cybersecurity already. And sure enough, Erik, who'd been working in cybersecurity for quite some time, had already a beautiful start. So we melded our two minds together, a Martian mind and an Earthling mind, and we came up with CyberX. And we would like to take you over there and show you what it's like to be in cybersecurity in a virtual world. Erik, I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce yourself as well and give the folks an idea of what they're going to be seeing, and then we'll head on over. Erik?
Okay, thanks, Rand. Can you hear me okay?
Sound good.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, for me, this has been a really fun project and one that has helped a lot of students. This semester, we've had a bunch of students go through the program this summer semester, and really had some great feedback from them about how relevant it is for their careers, how important it is to get this type of experience. One thing we're working on is creating experiences students live through to get cybersecurity mindsets. I think often when we're in an education environment or a training environment, what we're doing is Oh, yeah, I may be embedded in the chair. I think. Sorry about that. Yeah,
That's
this
why
might be
I'm
a little
standing
better.
up. Those chairs are
Yeah,
a little too soft for me.
yeah, that's right. But the idea is perhaps that we've often focused on knowledge and that the outcome of a course should be some type of body of knowledge that you get. I think one thing we're changing to, in some senses, in cybersecurity, because things move so rapidly, knowledge is a just-in-time learn, and next week that will no longer be useful type of knowledge environment for the professional. That we're moving more towards developing mindset, the mindset of how you acquire, how you analyze situations, how you work through what you should be, what knowledge you should be acquiring, and what knowledge you should be letting go of rapidly. And if we can offer those types of mindset forming experiences and include those in cybersecurity coursework, then it will be good. So the lived through experience is part of also what we're trying to create here in these environments.
Erik, what do you think about the concept of immersing a student in an environment like this for long periods of time? Do you think it has an impact on the student's understanding of cybersecurity?
So right now I already do research in what happens psychologically to cybersecurity professionals who are immersed for long periods of time in cyberspace. This doesn't necessarily mean Second Life, but it means like at the keyboard, in the console, the vision of what's in your head of the world you live in is not a physical space necessarily. But we do see that there are a lot of benefits and concerns and also just ways of behaving in cyberspace that emerge in that. And I think that that relates directly to what we see in Second Life, that these types of environments right now that we're going to be going and seeing are not just going to be used for training, they're also going to be used for actual work, particularly a couple of the active environments that we'll take a look at. And that means that people will be jumping into Second Life or similar types of environments or VR headsets in order to do the work. Right now, we mostly see that happening in the virtual world environments because wearing the headsets all day is a challenge, and when those headsets get lighter, yeah, we'll all be in those. But right now, putting a large piece of plastic and electronics on your head is not what most people are into for their daily, for the full day of work. Rand, is that where you're thinking, or other comments there?
Well, I sure know that I didn't learn Spanish and French until I lived in Spain and France. So when you completely surround yourself with the culture of an environment, in this case, constantly around computers, cyber attacks, ransomware, breaches, all sorts of threats, you don't really get that sense of fear that comes when all of a sudden your screen is taking over and you're being asked for millions of dollars in Bitcoin. But that's something that you might be able to simulate sitting in front of a computer for sure, but also accentuated here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to head on over and start showing everybody what we've created?
Yeah, let's do it. So perhaps if you send me a teleport request, I'll be over there and I can respond. So either write my name down or copy it, and then...
Are you going to go... I'm going to send everybody over to the landing pad. Does that sound good?
That sounds right at the
at the bottom of the...
Right?
Yeah,
at the bottom? Okay.
Great. Can we put that SL URL, the SLURL, in the local chat?
Yes, it's there now, and I'll see you all over there.
Great. Thank you. Let's head to CyberX.
All right, so folks, here goes. I am teleporting there, and you can see what's happening. I'm going to trim this
Away.
in a couple of hours when I can on YouTube. So here we are. Ooh, scary. So everybody's teleporting. You can see them. Their avatars rezzing.
I see you're all starting to appear.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Welcome to CyberX. Inspired in the bottom by Lake Como. So Erik, what do you think? Should we get started?
Yeah, let's do it. Right behind us is a great place to start. If we think about people coming to the virtual world for the first time, which is a lot of our students, they may have played games or other things like that before, but they're really looking for what do I do? How do I get around? And just getting used to this world. If you look behind, as you're looking at me, if you look behind you, then you go to resources that take them to places like Builder's Brewery and other places that many of us are familiar with, where we've learned a lot about a building, how to get around, and things like that. But then if you once they get past that point, then there are other things on this level, like an alumni group or places for breakout discussions or fireside chats and things like that. But if we go into this main building behind me here, let's go in this direction and we can take a look at some of the places where we're providing direct resources for engaging in cybersecurity.
Fine.
Sounds good.
Make sure all the ducklings are with us. Beautiful building by Barnesworth.
Looking at this area, you can see that we've got posters up, and this would be for use in a lot of areas, but one would be we can have conferences here where we can have different meeting spaces we can create on the fly. There's an amphitheater out back. I think more importantly, though, we're trying to gear this space up so that it will be to show student work or poster sessions or places where people can have work that people can run and review asynchronously. So one thing we find is that if you have a Zoom session where people just go at a particular time, that can be good, but having a place where you can hang out and then people can come and go as you have your work there ready to show, and that they can go through the work at their pace and ask you questions rather than having to flip through a set of slides that go only at a single rate of speed for everyone is this allows us to simulate what we see a lot more in cybersecurity conferences and academic conferences and have presentations like that. As you look on the walls around you right now, you'll see cybersecurity tips and advice, but this can change over time, and we can also use more easels for temporary work. You can tell that this is simulating more the real space people would be in an academic or in a training session. Yeah, I agree, Zenon. We've seen similar things that having people in this environment and in the real world too have the ability to engage and talk about their work, and as people come and go, can provide a real just a great place to make connections and develop better ways of seeing your own work.
That's a really good place for people to start, isn't it? Where they can come to a place they recognize and just do something simple like put up a poster or do a presentation before we ask them to not only participate in the cybersecurity activities in the other parts of the island, but also to start thinking about developing some learning objects or some learning environments where they are using the tools of virtual environments to create opportunities for others as well.
That's right. I think that getting that development work going is next big step in our plan. We have one student now who's developing in-world with us, and we're hoping to expand that to a large number. Maybe we'll head up to the second, to the dome area. How does that sound?
I like the idea. It's going to be a big change.
Okay, so we'll go now. We're going to go into this is immersive maybe in a replicating the real world, but now we're going to take a trip into the distant future. So let's head back out to where we came from, the little gazebo, and we'll take the teleport pad content. And as you look around the room, you can see various critical websites that are associated with our programs that students can go in and access. The great thing is that in a space like this, where they're not only accessing these things by themselves or being directed, but yeah, that's a good thing. And they're looking to share this space that they're in with mentors or peers or potential employers, and to talk about these things as they go through these spaces together. Yeah, we've had a comment already, Brand, about the a polling system. You want to, shall we go into that a little bit?
Yeah, go in and tell me if you know what university, I know what university is hosting this environment. So if you go and stand in that you know what university is hosting this environment, then we'll get a real strong feeling of what the public opinion is. You see that everyone agrees they know where it is. At least they think they do. This environment, although our first instantiation of it is at the University of Washington, we are developing cybersecurity training, cooperative learning training for the entire nation. Our hosts are really Norwich University in Vermont that are building 4 separate centers of cooperative learning for cybersecurity, one in Hawaii for the Southwest, one in Washington to represent the Northwest, one in Tennessee, which represents the historically black colleges and universities and minority serving institutions as well, and one in the Midwest in Cincinnati. So it looks to me like we have a varying group of opinions. If I told you now that it was sponsored by Norwich University, would you change your position now and tell me that you now know where the funding comes from building these environments? We should slowly but surely seeing 100% red if you know that Norwich University is the builder and the funder of this wonderful environment. What you see around you is the cooperative learning course. You see that we have a selection process, so we do competency assessment and define a work role for each one of the students in the environment. We then give them a baseline set of content, which is represented in Canvas over there. And we then allow the students to take a series of courses from a company called EC Council, which offers certificates for students. They can get up to 8 separate certificates. And then they go into a mentorship program with the Cybersecurity Workforce Alliance, where students are assigned a mentor. And then they compete for very coveted positions in an internship in Optiv Systems Incorporated, a cybersecurity consulting company, where those top students get the opportunity to work paid for cybersecurity consultancies in various departments within the organization. We'll be spreading this out to include corporations, government, both local and federal. So students get the opportunity to do cooperative learning in multiple places. But the main idea is that they come to an environment like this, they go through the regular e-learning, and then we turn them over to Erik's environment, and the faculty and the students get the opportunity to experience cybersecurity in a virtual environment. Now 100% of you understand who our sponsors are. Thank you for that. Erik, I'll turn it back over to you, and you can show them what it's like when they finally start moving away from book learning or e-learning and move into interactive experiential learning.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. Yeah, let's take a walk back down the tube, and we'll go to another scenario. Into this virtual world data center and train students by pulling them through here. It turns out we can put a lot more flaws in this type of data center than might exist in a real one, and it gives students a great opportunity to see all kinds of things that are happening in world. So let's go through. You can see the challenge. What is spatial thinking? Spatial thinking is a really big thing about physical security auditing and cybersecurity, because if you are looking at something, it's not necessarily about the thing. Let's go over here and we can see an example. We put the light bridge in here in order to give students a sense that now they're not in scenario, but as soon as I cross this light bridge, they're in scenario and everything counts. So it's not about the dome or the instructions. Once we're in here, it's like being in the real world, and they need to respond to what's going on. If I'm standing up here, then
and Eric, what do you mean by here? One of the first things
Yeah, if I'm standing up in front of the main door, there are certain security risks associated with this space. Let's think about the telephone. Is a telephone a security risk?
It certainly is.
Yeah, it could be. It can also lead to security as well. For instance, it has an element of safety to it, right? Making sure that people are safe is part of a cybersecurity physical strategy. And so things like that can happen. But I think Rand is picking up on some other things that are going on here that are really significant. There's a security entrance, and if someone comes here to the payphone and they're using it or pretending to use it, they can loiter here all day and have a reason to be here at a security entrance. And seeing people punching in numbers, wondering what kind of card they have, all these kinds of things, or even picking up radio frequency data from devices they may have in their pocket. So the telephone is an object, but the spatial recognition of walking through the space is, hey, this is pretty close to the security entrance. We might want to remove that payphone. Not give people a reason to be here. If you click on the door...
I noticed that camera is following me when I walk around. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's right. And if you use the camera, and if there's only one person here, then the camera will point people around, but they also have to think, if it's at night, then that bright light behind me creates a silhouette and it would make it hard to recognize the face. So facial recognition and where the lights are is also really important.
I don't know if that camera makes me feel safe or insecure.
Yeah, that's right. It should make you feel that this facility is secure, but also, like you say, that you're under scrutiny. And deterrence is a big part of cybersecurity. That's one reason that we see the screens of the cameras up behind our reception staff member there. And if you're looking at that, you can also see that that has a downside in that now people know where the security cameras might be pointing. What people don't think about in terms of cybersecurity is sometimes even the fire extinguisher. If you look at this little fire extinguisher, you'll see that it's Class A fire extinguisher. And students who are unaware of that should be looking things like this up as they go through the challenge. That's pretty much water. And in an electrical facility like this, pouring water on your servers is not a good idea. But
so if I were to ask a student to come in here and tell me what is out of code or out of compliance, they're going to have to walk through here and look around very carefully, aren't they?
That's right. Some students come back and do this for hours. Some can do it fairly quickly, maybe 20 minutes or an hour. And they're on their own, but they can also ask questions. I'm often here when it's open to students, but they can also email me and ask questions later. It is really student-driven, and the great thing is they're actually in the role when they do this work and they're getting the spatial experience. There's two things that drive us to see this happening. It's not just the student feedback that comes in, but it's also that this relates to theoretical concepts of, as we walk through environmental space, we have a very strong ability to write memory to long-term memory. How do you get back? It's our ability to survive. So this comes from cognitive sciences, but also the ancient Greeks had a theory called, or a way to memorize presentations or speeches, and that was called the theater of the mind or palace of the mind. And that's where, as you're memorizing a speech, you walk from room to room to room for each part of the speech. so that all you do is remember the room, and then you'll remember that experience. And you'll remember where you are in a speech.
Speaking of the room, this is a really cramped space. Was this a obvious choice, or because it looks to me like some of the environments that I've toured in while I'm doing cybersecurity assessments and see old rooms like this that are really crowded, old-fashioned, maybe even have Windows 7 running on their system.
Right. Yeah, this does represent what we see in a lot of data centers, which is a lot of legacy hardware that's not being removed, and a lot of systems that have been running for a long time. This is actually called technical debt, and it's a significant part of the cybersecurity challenge. If you keep looking around, you'll also see other safety and security functions. Like, for instance, there's a little home router that's on top of one of the racks in the background. That might be something somebody wants to check out. After students go through this experience, then they'll go through a physical security auditing. Then I tell them, if they're in a class together, and we do this as a group, I say, okay, you've given your recommendations, you wrote up your risks and mitigations for the cybersecurity issues, and then you've left, but something else happened because no one took your advice.
Role that we originally gave you in the beginning of the tour, then you would have a vocabulary set that you could use to speak to ChatGPT to ask it specific questions about the scenarios that are presented to you. Have you made it here yet, Erik?
Yes, just here right now. The elevator door is just opening.
Very good. I was just explaining them, these folks, the difference between Eliza and ChatGPT.
All right, great. Yeah, we found that very interesting as we've been designing this. That even old artificial intelligence can be really convincing and effective. So if we've done the physical security audit, but people didn't take our recommendations, then a lot of things may have happened. And so this is a forensic crime scene, and now you have to put on a different hat. Your hat here is as the digital evidence gatherer from a forensic crime scene, a real scene. So we'll be looking at this now and seeing where it goes. As Rand was mentioning, the artificial intelligent bots are there for assisting the students a bit, but the students come here, they've got a warrant and they've got a job to do. If they violate that warrant, then they get in trouble. And not just that they get in trouble, but that the court case may be thrown out. I'm going to click on this light bridge. Hold on just a second. I'll click on this light bridge to get it back. So if you do click on the light bridge, it does go down. So please, let's only click on it one time.
Yeah, I just conked my head on it a couple times because somebody had opened it up and I fell through.
Yep.
Just like in cybersecurity, where you leave a computer open, malicious things can happen.
Yeah. Oops. So hold on just a second, don't cross the bridge. In order to prevent that from happening, I'm just going to create a little a temporary bridge for us here, just to make sure everybody can get across safely now. There we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, you can fly up if you're used to that. I'll just check underneath. Looks like everybody's made it back up. Part of the reason we use the little dome is so that people know these are individual worlds in which they're going. Here you can see Officer Kowalski, and he's already talking to people. Is there a discrepancy? Add those to your forensic journal. Right, so there's a forensic journal, which is the timeline of what you see and collect in this space. And then there's the incident timeline, which you construct from the evidence you find. For instance, right in front of Sheila, if you look at your feet, there is a security key. And if you click on that security key, oh my gosh, you're going to get some type of a password token. And you'll be able to use that later on. If you click on the telephone, you're going to get call records that may be useful later.
So you have to be so super aware in a forensics environment, and one of the certificates that you can get in this course, if you go in that direction, is in digital forensics. Another could be ethical hacking, or you could be one of the folks that are sitting in the network just looking at the tools on network traffic daily.
That's right. And so Sheila, you're right. This may be not the most secure password. One other thing about this telephone is that if you do take the records from there, the students who have received the warrant and read it properly will understand that if you take those telephone records and try to present that in court, the case will be thrown out because the warrant is only good for local records and the call logs are not coming locally from this facility. They're coming from the telephone company's central office. So you have to be a little bit careful about digital warrants that way. You can't cross those boundaries. If you come down this side, there's Officer Sam. And hopefully he'll start talking here. Yeah. So connected to ChatGPT, a little different. Here with Officer Kowalski using the ELIZA, it's very directed. But with Officer Sam, you can get off topic pretty quick. So it may be helpful in asking questions about forensics, but it may not be helpful in terms of getting advice or having someone tell you what to do, or even understanding too many things about this scene, although he does understand some about the environment he's in as it's been pre-programmed. Let's go ahead inside now to see what actually happened in this scenario. About the facility may not have changed that much, but you can click on things. For instance, if you click on the little router in the back, you will discover there are some logs in it now. That's right, someone has reached for that computer with their very last breath. You can see them still trying to cling to the keyboard.
As you're thinking about cybersecurity, I bet you're thinking often about your home security. Well, if you think about where the threat really is at the national security level, you'll be talking about nuclear power plants, chemistry plants, satellite communications, electrical grids. So using the concept of a murder here to show you how deadly these cybersecurity attacks can be in American infrastructure or any country's infrastructure, actually. It's not a hyperbole. It's meant to shock you outside of your own home's perspective of someone just being able to send you a phishing email versus somebody who's shutting down the electric grid on the West Coast.
Right. Yeah, this environment really does begin to scale up for the impact it can have. And in order to see some of that, let's go to a different kind of environment. We're going to take the teleporter this time again, just to save time as we go to a very different kind of scenario. Here the students can work in groups or alone, but in the next scenario, it's many people working together. So let's have a look at the Security Operations Center next. But you really have never been in a real network operations center before and don't know how to relate to other people. This is a big thing for cybersecurity because most cybersecurity exercises are isolating activities. And we need to socialize students, and that's a big part of what we're doing in this virtual world scenario. So pick a station, just have a seat at the station. We'll get ready to go here. You're going to take on a role in this environment. And this is called the signal noise challenge of working in a network operations center. The idea is, when do you need to speak up? When do you need to yell? When do you need to be quiet about what you're seeing? Or when do you need to just collaborate with people on your team? Or when do you need to raise this up to the people who are running the operations center? So you'll see three consoles in front of you. First, click on the left one. Everybody, all the people at your station, click on the left one and share and talk about what you're discovering. For instance, if you're a junior NOC analyst and you click on the left station, you're going to get a note card. And the note card, let's see, for the junior NOC station is going to say, let's see, picking up a large number of outbound ports, HTTP drops, for some Siemens SCADA controllers. It may be a squawking device, but they are to external IP addresses. What is happening? Oh my gosh. So if you think about that, the team who's right there, so Stranger and Pi, what is happening with that? And look up those terms, think about what it means. talk amongst yourselves? Should you raise it up to the large group, or is this an unimportant thing? So everyone do that. For instance, if we have Apuliana and Zenon and Sheila, if you look at the left screen where you're at, it's saying something a little bit different, isn't it? It's saying we're trying to deconvolute the issues we're having here. We do have service hairpinning through the firewall. We have core spoke network design, and we're seeing some new protocol spikes, including 137. Oh my gosh, 137. So you think, what's that happening there? And students who have been through some of these things will immediately, their light bulb will come on, and they'll say, we've got to do something about this, or oh yeah, that's normal traffic, right? And so making the determinations is part of what they do. So have a look, everyone who's sitting at a station, have a look at the leftmost one, talks amongst yourselves, maybe in chat, but then talk in voice if you feel like something needs to be said, and we'll just talk through this scenario. But so far, only use the one on the left, and then we'll go to the middle and right later on so that we can complete a timeline. Yeah, go ahead.
This really gives us the sense of students participating actively within an environment. And when we do our other simulations where they're doing tabletops and competing with each other, a blue team defending itself and a red team attacking each other, being in an environment like this and simulating these smaller versions of that larger attack is really a good way to build them up.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I think also students who run through this scenario, so that I've witnessed, I probably run four groups at least at the scale of 30 students through the scenario, and this is an intense experience for them. They argue, they make their cases, they make points, it gets emotional. And they're trying to either take control of the scene or tell people they need to move on, that it's something else, or look at this, this is important. And so they get engaged. This is really what happens in a real network operations center. And so it can be a lot of fun for the students and memorable. Some of them do feel like it's a little bit of a game and that it's not that serious, but others are like, oh my gosh, this is what I was missing from my cybersecurity program. This is what I was wondering how this worked. And this social aspect is a little less spatial in terms of 3D physical space, but it's more spatial in terms of interhuman dynamics. What's happening in this large spoken space that we're in? Yeah, so if you look at the top, you can see a network up there that has a lot of red, green, and yellow dots on it. That's a core spoke network design where you've got everything connected to one big switch and everybody can talk to everybody. We could actually go through all of the details of what all these things and what is 137. A clue there would be that's TCP 137, and it's a local kind of network traffic that's pretty much normal, but it can be busy for some reasons. But yeah, everyone's going to look at it. So yes, students would normally come in here with a little preparation to see these things, but it's also kind of like a mystery game. Think of it as Clue. You've got to figure out what's going on. Yeah. So from here we're going...
Erik Apuliana is talking about how overwhelming it is, right? And I think that even if you weren't a brand new person looking at cybersecurity and something like a huge ransomware attack were hitting you seriously, you would feel exactly the same way no matter how well equipped you are, because it is just devastating when some nefarious character is into your network and you're not sure why or how.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, and Sheila, you're right that it really encourages students to go back and say, I want to be ready for this, because they've lived through it a little bit. Yeah. So this is a network operations center, and one of the big things about a network operations center is that everyone speaks a different language, and that's why some of the things you're reading are so cryptic. A firewall engineer has a whole vocabulary that's different from the SIM and cyber response that is not what the NOC analysts talk about. And the people who handle the service desk are using language that's very different from what the CEO, the Chief Information Officer, uses. So that's part of the signal noise problem and part of what you have to overcome in this challenge. Everybody has very discrete kinds of information they're dealing with. So this is very different from the environment that we'll see next, which is the Security Operations Center. Because that's close, we're going to walk over there, and you'll also get to see the lobby of this facility. We may be coming, I don't know how many people will have to leave at the top of the hour, but let's see. Maybe it's better if we skip this Security Operations Center. It's based on NORAD, so if you've seen pictures of NORAD, you'll see a little bit of similarities there. But instead, let's go to the Foreign Bureau, which is a very different kind of site, maybe as our closing experience. And let's see. I need to, unfortunately, somebody has clicked on this already and is using it, so I'm going to edit and reset this. Please don't click on this so that I can pick the right setting to take us to the right place.
And by this, he means the teleporters platform.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Erik pointed out something very important. When you're under attack and you're a network security operator and you have to talk to the CEO or the CIO or even the press, you have to change the way you describe what's happening. And so really understanding cybersecurity from the end user up to the top of the organization is critical. That's why we incorporated ChatGPT again, to give you just a little hint of how you might be able to translate a major issue into an issue that would be ready for the for a television station or a radio station, describing what's really happening in a large corporation.
That's right, and we'll also be extending that to other scenarios. Go ahead and hop on the transporter beams, and here I'll trigger it again. Hold on just a second. Okay, go ahead on these beams. Maybe, I realize it's at the top of the hour now, even a little past. This is a great place to stop because you can take the elevators down and you can tour around Tokyo and have a cultural experience there if you like. And you can, but when you do get on the elevators, make sure to manually click on the closed door button to get the elevators to move. This is a different style of elevator from the one we were in before. Hope you all had a good experience.
You can see now that cybersecurity is much more than just computer science or even STEM. It is organizational, it's business oriented, it's ethical issues abound everywhere. There's lots of political science, so almost everybody who is looking for jobs today can find a place in cybersecurity. We're actually in default of about 1 million jobs within the United States filling positions within cybersecurity because a lot of people are under the assumption that it is a high-tech computer science job. It is for some, but it's not for all. So we're really glad to give you the opportunity to look at what cybersecurity is, understand our program a little bit, meet some of the people behind the development of advanced learning in virtual environments, and understand a little bit more about the power of virtual worlds for learning.
Thanks. Yeah, I think that's really a great summary right there. And if you have any questions, we can stick around a little bit to answer them.
I dropped my email into the chat, so please feel free to reach out to me. Our dream is to take this much larger as we progress through the development of online cybersecurity education, building something that you might be hearing about called digital twins. The word virtual reality might be shifting over to understanding the digital twin concept, where every company will begin to manifest itself in a virtual environment in one form or another. using some of the next generation technology. We're expecting NVIDIA with its Omniverse to be super powerful in this environment. You will see in the Digital Twins Consortium the likes of IBM and Cisco and Microsoft and Amazon and all of the regular large companies that are shifting over to moving to a combination of virtual reality and artificial intelligence to spin us up into what our hackers are looking at and the technology that they're getting ready for in order to use that against some of our Windows 7 small environments where the networks haven't been modernized yet. So think big, think about changing the way that we feel secure and the way we feel private.
Also, thanks to the Library Association for having us here. It's a great opportunity, and I think there's also a lot of affinity with library sciences. A lot of people who are in library sciences end up in cybersecurity.
Val asked a really important question: is Second Life still a good space for educators? When we pitched this idea to the National Centers of Academic Excellence, we suggested using Second Life for one reason, because it would take us just a few months to put this thing together. We have lots of people who are both builders and educators within the environment to help us maximize the growth here. We have a behavior of building that is very easy. We have libraries of information and objects out there, and we have a lot of people who understand this particular virtual environment. What I told them is, let us not do a requirements document and put this all on paper. Let us put our design document together in 3D and show you what we mean. So this is a really good baseline virtual environment to get started in. And as the technology is really going to super explode, robots are going to be part of the environment as well. You're going to be seeing that you will be very happy you built here to get the concepts of immersive learning and experiential learning, and you'll be able to springboard that out to the next generation of immersive environment technology. You know what, Raiden, I can say about ensuring that learners have video cards that support this? One thing I've learned by changing my career into cybersecurity, we better upgrade our technology, because the enemy, or what is the word we use? We use, I don't know, perpetrator. Erik, help me out. What's the word we use to describe?
Adversary?
That's it, adversary. We don't use enemy. You have to understand that our adversaries are doing this in armies. So we do have to raise the equation here and start thinking about AI, quantum computing, and the other types of technology that are starting to emerge at an enormous rate. So if you want to stay safe, upgrade.
Right, but the problem is that I have students, right? And my students are on limited budget. And the difference between an embedded Intel video chip in a computer, right? I can even have an i9, but if it's an embedded chip, it's not going to do well here. It may not do anything at all. But to have something with an NVIDIA card in it, or a higher end Radeon, you could be looking at $1,800 to $2,000. It's not a $600 computer. And if they're not buying the right one, something like, and believe me, the reason I know this is we went through it back in 2010 with Linden Labs. Something like PBR can take a $1,200 to $1,500 computer and render it useless for the virtual world. And you cannot upgrade the video chips in these laptops anymore.
Hey, I've got a recommendation in this area. I've just been working through this. I'm implementing the online cybersecurity leadership program at Seattle University. And in preparation for just the challenge that you're saying, we went with a service called Aporto. And Aporto moves all the graphics processing into a server and has a very high compression streaming desktop that can work even on a Chromebook. That students can be on a Chromebook, log on to Aporto, and then when they're there, they run Second Life. Now, this costs money to do that, but it's cheaper than getting new computers for all your students. I really agree that, part of the reason I'm saying this is not that that solution will work for everybody, but that it really is a big challenge what you're describing here. And at least it's a lower challenge than putting on headsets and going into a virtual world and buying a headset for everybody in an entire curriculum. And also having to update and replace and maintain the security on all those headsets.
Oh, there's no argument. When and this is a sale that I tried to make to clients for years. The cost of us, if we were in a location in this room right now, the cost of us all being here is every rate on every person plus travel, et cetera, et cetera. And the cost of the room, la, la, la. Whereas in a virtual situation, it's fractional. And to me, the solution is that our schools need to start, particularly for what they're charging now, they need to start kicking in a stipend or an allowance for technology.
I will give you that, and I will also recommend to you, because I've been doing this since the 80s, looking at technology and education, I will hold on the platform that we need a hybrid environment. You still need paper and pencil, you still need books, you still need computers. You can work at the low level. I work with tribal colleges a lot. You can use YouTube, you can use filming of environment or scenarios in Second Life that you could put on YouTube. What you want to do is you want to build your curriculum so that it evolves from one form to another. But I will hold this opinion all of my life: right tool for the right job. If you want to get to the level of creating some next generation experiential learning, certain people will be there, the ones that can afford it, of course. If they can look for ways to minimize costs and make this more scalable, I think we'll all have the same advantages as we move forward. There's no way we're moving away from online learning. So let's do it incrementally, and let's do it so that we can share our resources together equally.
Hey, I also want to say that I really appreciate the engaging discussion and all the comments. Getting feedback on this place and advice or talking about the challenges we face is exactly why we enjoy doing this. And it's great that some people are sticking around a little bit and giving us tips and letting us know what you're doing. I think English language is a big thing. The street directions challenge down below, I can take you down there if you want to see it, and you can use any language to do that. You would just have to decide, you would have to create your own treasure hunt cards, which is a set of instructions in the language that you're attempting to teach. And the have that point to one of the treasures that we have located around the facility. If you want to stick around, I can take you there and show you that.
I want to thank everybody as well for taking the time to visit us, visit the island, and get a chance to meet everybody. I particularly want to thank Val. She is instrumental in making virtual world libraries and virtual world education pop and answer a lot of these hard questions and move us incrementally into an awareness of using them. And so thank you very much, all of you. Thank you, Val, and Erik, thank you. You're just such a pleasure to work with.